Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricky and Chanel. And now it is my distinct honor and privilege to invite our respected warden, sir, Professor Indra Desai, sir, to please come up and address us all. If you please, sir.
Distinguished members of the Board of Governors, distinguished guests, particularly the wives and girlfriends of Thomians and fellow Thomians. I don't have a written speech. I made a long and boring speech just last week at the prize giving, and I know some of you were there, so I don't want to add to the discomfort of hearing me twice. So I'll make this short. I must say that wardens of St. Thomas's have been pretty smart, intelligent men. And I want to display my prudence and not take on the best lawyer in the country, Honorary Secretary Dilshan, even though I did think about it a few weeks back when I thought I might have to make a speech. Not for me. I'm not a vengeful man. I don't need to come with comebacks, particularly to a man as astute as Dilshan with speech. But I thought, just for the honor of the young mothers that he tainted last time, just for my Thomian mothers, I should try to find some dirt on him at least and bring it to this forum, right? I threw all caution to the wind, but I couldn't find anything on him. I don't even know that he attended this school, which there is nothing. It could be some of the files that were found deep in the deep end of the swimming pool some time ago, but there is nothing on him, which would of course make it very difficult for him to get his son into college. And I sit on that panel. He has an adorable son who is very welcome at St. Thomas's, so I'm just joking. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to be up here and see such a distinguished group of Thomians, not just because you all have made it in your own right out there in the real world, but because you all are so generous and step up to the call when your alma mater calls. And in this time, when we are in the process of making several structural changes within the school, both to lift up academics and sports, your support is needed now more than ever. I am very happy to announce that the first phase of what we are calling the Senior Quadrangle Project, but quite rightly, as Dilshan mentioned, the commerce section of that project has already begun. It started about a week ago. And so our hope is that all of the fundraising efforts of the OBA will go towards starting the second phase, which will be another set of 12 classrooms as soon as the first phase finishes. And we hope to have that opening on the 5th of May, so make a note of that in your calendars, the 5th of May next year. So this allows us to do two main things. One is to offer our boys the types of courses that is suited to their aptitudes, minimize our failure rates, but also provide an exciting group of subjects for our boys, which is now impossible because of the lack of space. In fact, the entire boarding, which you all know and love and cherish, those of you who are boarders especially, most of the boarding is essentially classrooms. But at the same time, I'm happy to announce that the demand for the boarding is there. So we have gone from 17 boys when I arrived to 40-something today. So the demand is there, the problem is the lack of space, and as soon as these classrooms get built, we are able to revive the boarding, which I think of as a foundation for building Thomian character into the future, not only in terms of reviving sports and other things, but certainly also academics, where we can give our sportsmen all the help they can get because they are in the boarding and under our watchful care. So that is the plan. The revival of the boarding is one step of that. The second step, of course, is to give an exciting mix of courses for our boys into the future, particularly revamping our academic curriculum to suit the needs of the modern age. So this is what these new classrooms are about, reviving the boarding and certainly taking our academic levels to the next step. I'm also happy to announce, this was all part of the prize-giving speech, so I can regurgitate some of that here very briefly. I'm happy to announce that we are doing well academically. The reputation St. Thomas's has, unfortunately, is that we emphasize more our sports than our academics. Now, this is not true. I have carefully looked at all numbers that are available, particularly exam results, and last year's O-level results, for example, we had 98% pass rates in subjects like math and science. So this is very good. We had very high A's and B's, in fact as high as 63% for math and 50-something% for science. And our A's and B's at St. Thomas's is double that of the Colombo School average. So we are not just good, we are beating some schools, particularly the Colombo schools, by a large margin. In fact, I have heard at the Education Ministry, they are talking about the St. Thomas's model for teaching science as opposed to the model that is used by the government all else. I'm very proud to say that, and this is because of our teachers. We still have too high a failure rate in some areas, particularly mother tongue, which we have to watch out. But we have already put some programs in place to arrest this problem, make parents more aware that mother tongue is a problem, and ultimately we want to have no failures. Right now we have a system to bring our grades up called remedial learning, which are remedial classes held for the bottom half of the class between when school closes and time for sports. So in that time, we actually retain some of our better teachers to teach groups of boys in smaller groups, subjects such as Sinhala, Tamil, math, and so on, the crucial subjects. And this is working very well. The hope in the future is that remedial learning will simply transform into centers of excellence where nobody needs remedial learning, but rather we are going to try to perform at maximum so that St. Thomas's is nothing less than the best boys' school academically in the country. And that is what we plan for the future. In sports, we had some setbacks like losing the Royal Thomian. We are still scratching our heads over how that happened, but I think some answers are very clear, particularly in the way in which our rugby team from the bottom or so of the B division managed to get up and beat all the top schools or most of the top schools in the A division, including Trinity and Royal. And the way, what that tells me is something very simple. If you put a system in place, our boys will step up to the challenge. And related to this is another rumor, particularly in some newspapers, where apparently St. Thomas's is in the business of bringing in imports, so-called imports, through the back door to play in our sports. There are two sides to the argument. One is that St. Thomas's relative to its competition is so small that imports are a necessary evil. We have to rely on that. The second argument to that is that, let me stay with just this main argument. The main argument is that St. Thomas's is so small relative to our competition that we have to rely on imports to be able to do well. My answer to this is simple. Our rugby team showed this year the real truth. If you put the proper system in place, our boys step up. Not one boy on the winning rugby team this year was an import. There were two boys who came in mainly based on their O-level results, and we take in a lot of boys at that time, and some of them are sportsmen, others are not. I am proud to say this year we even admitted a boy who is blind. And so there is no hidden agenda about bringing sportsmen to play on our teams. Our boys can do the job. At the Royal Thomaian, we had 4 colorsmen who actually sat out the game simply because better talent came up through the younger teams and so on, and we were able to play without imports. And that tells me that the answer to this question about whether we are too small, whether we need imports to be able to win and stay with the competition is hogwash, because if the proper system is in place, the talent from within will come up. And here I run up against, for example, parents who make a very valid argument, which is that what about those boys who have played all along for St. Thomas's, given their blood, sweat and tears, and suddenly they are displaced by somebody who's come from outside? The answer is very simple. This has always been the case, particularly when prep school boys came, and some of us, including myself, lost our place to them. But the answer to our boys is the lesson in life you learn through sports is that you have to be the best on the team to win by talent, by trying hard, by rising to the occasion, by rising to the challenge and doing well and making the team. Not simply assume that you have a place guaranteed because you're well connected, and in this case, because you have been a Thomaian from grade 1. So the answer there is that the lesson in life is that everyone competes, and if the system is fair and just, the talent will come to the top, and we will not have a problem. And that is how I see it. And so I know there are rumors out there, and this is just a small occasion for me to try to set the record straight. If I know at the OBA AGM, I had a question and answer session, which I think is always much easier and fruitful and useful than a prepared speech, but I can't do this here because it will disrupt things. If you have hard questions, my email is principal@royalcollege.lk. You can write, you can write anytime. So I will end here by thanking from the bottom of my heart those people in the OBA in general, but particularly the EXCO members, too numerous to mention by name, but I certainly want to mention the tireless work put in by our Honorary Secretary Dilshan and our Vice President Mr. Renganathan, without whom none of this even gets discussed. So thank you very much for your hard work, including the entire committee. And I know that our activities is not just about making money for the school. It is an important part of why we get together, but the main reason why we do have these programs is because we like our company, and I think our wives like our company as well, and that we get together to rekindle our love for our school and our friendships esto perpetua.
Thank you very much, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the main course will be served, so bon appetit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are enjoying your evening. I must say, for me personally, it is quite nostalgic being back in the college hall. Brings back a lot of memories, and as I look around and see all the names of all the prizemen written on the boards around the college, it draws my memory back to my old English master who intoned to the class, if you want to have your name remembered, don't scribble it down on the table or carve it into the table or write it on the walls. Do something, achieve something, and have it written on these boards or have it written in the annals of the college history books, and you will be remembered forever. And that memory has stayed with me for a long time. That master also taught another idea. He taught us the value of punctuation. You may have noticed that when we use punctuation marks quite a lot in our day-to-day work, but mainly when we write in our correspondence. We use it to underline our sentences. And if you've noticed, very rarely is any of our intentions misconstrued when we write a letter. But when we speak, sometimes our intentions get a little lost because we don't have the value of punctuation marks in speech. So our master, Mr. Borge, came up with a very novel idea to integrate punctuation marks into speech. And therefore, you will have the support of them when you speak, the same way you do when you write. And I can teach you. It's very simple. It'll take 5 minutes for you to learn, but quite enjoyable to try it out. So basically, everything has a sound. So full stop sounds like this. This is a dash. An exclamation mark is a vertical dash with a full stop underneath. This is a comma. Quotation mark is 2 commas. If you happen to be left-handed. Question mark, rather difficult. Finally, the colon. Those 2 little dots, you can put them over each other, you can put them under each other, you can put them anywhere you want to put them. That's the sound for the colon. I have a story, a short story in this book I have here at the start of the book, so you can hear how the system really sounds. So here it is at the beginning of the book on page 9. Sorry. Page 6. In the open window, there suddenly came a light. Beautiful Eleanor sat alone, dreaming of but one thing. 2 years had passed since she met Sir Henry. She could still recall the unhappy evening when her father had thrown him out. They had been sitting in the park, and Henry said, "Darling, is this the first time you have loved?" She answered, "Yes." "But it is so wonderful that I hope it will not be the last." Sorry. Getting a bit messy. That's the drawback. Suddenly, she heard a well-known sound. It was he. In 2 strides, he was near, embraced, and caressed her. "Henry! What is love?" He answered, "Well, I couldn't love without." She asked, sorry, left-handed, "Where have all your thoughts been this while?" He answered, "With thee." my maiden. Suddenly he was gone. Sorry. All she heard was the well-known sound of his departing horse. That last bit was the horse, nothing to do with punctuation marks. So there it is, punctuation marks phonetically done. You can try it out. If you can't communicate better, you'll definitely at least give someone a smile. So try it out and see if it works. And now, we have a speech by Mr. Kushan Dialvis, President's Counsel. So may I please invite him, if he is finished with his main course, please to come and speak a few words, if you would, sir.
Your Grace, the Bishop of Colombo, Mrs. Kanagasabe, Warden Sir, Sub-Warden Sir, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to deliver this speech at this memorable occasion, and I thank the organizing committee, including the very energetic OBS Secretary, Mr. Dilshan Jayasuriya, for affording me this opportunity. St. Thomas's College is where I learned my ABC and has a very special place in my heart. Even 33 years after leaving college, my love and gratitude for it burns with the same ferocity it did as it back then. In the past, we've had to endure rough times, but we have always managed to persevere through the darkness into light. At college, we were fortunate to have good masters and teachers who molded us into the persons we are. It is with regret I note that my first class teacher, Mrs. Samuels, passed away last week. May she rest in peace. The only occasion I have seen teachers kneeling down at St. Thomas's was in the chapel. However, if I may hark back to the days of the British Raj, students were not encouraged to learn their mother tongue. This resulted in some of our leaders of yesteryear not being able to express themselves adequately in Sinhala. For instance, it is rumored that the former president, Mr. Jaya Jayawardena, addressing an election rally, has with all sincerity stated thus: "Man tamunnaanselata ආදරේ man tamunnaanselata පස්සට කරවා දැන් ඉස්සරහටත් කරනවා." He may have been misunderstood. Another politician of yesteryear, after opening a refurbished maternity ward at the Matara Hospital, had proudly proclaimed, "Mama ටික වෙලාවකට ඉස්සල්ලා මාතර ගෑනුන්ගේ ළමයි හම්බෙන ස්ථානය ලොකු කරා විවෘත කෙරුවා." It's not no fault of theirs, but it was the education system that was prevailing at that time. Our alma mater has produced several exemplary citizens of Sri Lanka who have reached a pinnacle of in their respective fields, including several leading statesmen whose photographs you can see. One of them was the late Honorable Dudley Shelton Senanayake. One day, after a heated debate in Parliament in the early 1970s with Dr. Colvin R. De Silva, the two met up at the Parliament, in the Parliament toilet. Dr. Colvin, who was in the toilet, was already in the toilet when Honorable Dudley Senanayake walked in. Seeing Dr. Colvin, Honorable Dudley Senanayake deliberately went to the furthest end of the toilet. Upon seeing that Dr. Colvin, hoping to clear any misunderstanding, said to Dudley in his own imitable voice, "You know, Dudley, we have had our political differences, but yet we remain friends." To which Honorable Dudley Sennaika said, "The trouble with you socialists is whenever you set your eyes on something substantial, you want to nationalize it. And that's why I moved away." At St. Thomas's, in addition to sports, speaking of sports, I think even our under 13 cricketers will be able to differentiate between